Hello everyone and welcome to today's video, where I try to beat Pokemon Gold as fast as possible with only a Dragonite. I'm planning on doing these ones with every single Pokemon of Pokemon Gold to see which one is the fastest and therefore kinda the best Pokemon in the second generation. So if you want to join me on this journey, I would be very happy to welcome you as a subscriber to my channel. If you ask me about my favorite Pokemon, it's gotta be Dragonite. It's simply amazing and I love everything about it. Tyranitar comes very close though, so it seems I just love these pseudo-legendary Pokemon. Although, let's be honest, Dragonite honestly could be a legendary. As usual, before we go into the gameplay, let's have a quick look into the stats. With 600 base stats, it's very close to be that legendary. Tyranitar also has 600 base stats, but it severely lacks speed. So for Dragonite, the distribution is a bit better spread. It comes with the same 134 attack, but also 100 special attack and defense. And importantly, 80 base speed. With 91 HP and 95 defense, the 600 total stats are completed. On the resistance side, the Dragon type really shines. That combined with the flying type gives resistance to fire, water, fighting and bug types, with grass types being double resisted and ground types being fully resisted. Ice is very dangerous though, being double effective, as well as rock and other Dragon type attacks being single effective against Dragonite. Moveset wise, Dragonite is also simply amazing. It has access to Return, which, let's be honest, is the go-to move for every physical attacker in this game. Also it can learn Swift and Headbutt, which is the second go-to move in this game if you have a physical attacker, because it can also let the opponent flinch. And even better than that, it has access to all the elemental punches, which are also really great, and although Dragonite only has 100 special attack, those will really help us out with type coverage. If we look towards stab, we have Wing Attack and Outrage, but I'm not really convinced that they can help us very much. Wing Attack on level 55, I feel, is just a bit too late to be helpful in this game, because with only 60 base power, yeah, it's a stab attack, so let's assume it has 90 base power, at level 55, it still gets out damage by Return, if it's not effective. But if it is effective, we could still have Fire Punch or Ice Punch for, let's say, a grass type Pokemon to use. So Wing Attack, I'm not sure. I would like to have it on moveset, but I don't think it will make it. And kind of the same goes for Outrage. Outrage even is a special attack and it has 90 base power. It's a Dragon type attack, so it also gains Stab, and therefore it should be kind of even in regards to Return. So maybe Outrage will make it. I'm not sure whether Wing Attack will make it, because let's be honest, Return is a must-have move in the moveset, and also pretty much Rest, I think, because Rest will help us through the red fight. So we have two spots open, one of them will be Ice Punch, and so this means basically we have only one spot open for a fourth attack. I'm not sure whether I will pick Wing Attack or Outrage, but we will see. Dragonite starts with Twister and Wrap as its damaging moves, but sadly Twister is a special move. It's a stab move, yes, but it's a special move. Dragonite is not a special attacker, it's a physical attacker, so this will be a bit rough the first few levels, up until maybe Golden Rod City, where we then have access to Headbutt and hopefully Ice Punch and or Fire Punch, something like that. What really holds Dragonite back is the fact that it's part of the slow leveling group. Well, yeah, you could argue that this only balances this absolute monster, because if it would be something like medium fast, let's be honest, this would be way overpowered, and it would be even more overleveled for every gym than it already is. So if you compare it to Alakazam, it will have some struggles because we will not gain as much levels as possible. As you know, the medium slow level group is actually the fastest in the first few levels, like up until level 60, 64-ish. Medium slow is actually the best leveling group. So that means that after Sprout Tower, Dragonite is only level 10. After all the trainers in Falkner's gym, Dragonite is level 11, and so we battle Falkner at that said level. Falkner's gym is Durandor and Mudslap. A really mean move, honestly, considering that it deals damage and lowers the target accuracy, but today this isn't a challenge thanks to Dragonite's flying typing. Twister does not fully one-shot the Pidgey and just brings it down to red HP, so that after a tackle from Pidgey, another Twister lands to take it out. Pidgeotto comes on the field and Twister deals what looks like close to half, but sadly it isn't, so after my second Twister and two Gusts from Pidgeotto that aren't really dangerous, the battle is finished with my third Twister. Dragonite clocks in after the first batch with a time of 26 minutes and 50 seconds, being 6 seconds faster than Alakazam and at this point almost 7 minutes faster than Tyranitar. Let's see how the rest goes. Next, I went to Union Cave. Here I had to dodge the trainer with the Onix, but the other trainers weren't really an issue. I also grabbed the TM for Swift. It won't be used for very long, but a 60 base power physical move is really a good addition to my moveset right now. So we clear the Slowpoke well, really quick, and then go to battle the rival. I Mudslap the Ghastly, and it misses with Hypnosis, so that another Mudslap takes it out. That went according to plan, because I had to dodge a sleep here. Then against Zubat, I decide to go for Swift. It deals over half, but Zubat uses Supersonic, which luckily also missed, so that another Swift takes out Zubat. Out comes the starter, Croconaw. I decided to pick Croconaw because I think it's harder to counter for Dragonite. After all, in these challenges with pretty strong and fully evolved Pokemon, it doesn't really matter that much. A crit with Swift deals over half and Croconaw's answer to the Swift is Scratch. One more Swift brings it to 8 HP and then a final Swift takes it out. As expected, everything is pretty easy up until here. Next, I immediately go for Bugsy. Bugsy starts with Metapod. My best option here is Swift and it deals over half. Metapod answers with a Swing Shot, lowering my speed. Another Swift is enough to take out Metapod at the very next turn. Scyther then comes out, and even though it's outspeeding, it goes for the Quick Attack. I would resist Fury Cutter, so I think Quick Attack is the best damaging move. My Swift deals about a quarter. The next Fury Cutter misses, and Swift takes Scyther to orange HP. Maybe it was more like a third, and so it is. I tank a Fury Cutter, and then knock out Scyther with my third Swift. Last but not least is Kakuna. I had picked a Poison Cure Berry just in case, but for safety's sake forgot to equip it. I go for Swift, Kakuna answers the Poison Sting, and the second Swift assures me the Hive Badge. Now comes the big skip, where a lot has happened. I picked Headbutt from Ilex first, and also taught Headbutt to Dragonite instead of Swift. Swift is amazing, because it has infinite accuracy, but after all, Headbutt has 10 more base power and also the chance for flinches. Also, I bought the TM for Ice Punch. I really like Ice Punch, because it adds great coverage throughout the whole game. I will need Fire Punch as well later on, but not for now. So with the new moveset, I face Whitney. Against Clefairy, I start with Headbutt, which deals more than half and gives us the flinch I just spoke about. Another Headbutt then takes out Clefairy. Miltank is on another level though. Since I don't have the speed boost yet, it outspeeds Dragonite, and since Warlord is a rock move, Miltank goes for exactly that. Headbutt deals almost nothing, maybe a fifth, and the second Warlord from Miltank already did hit very hard. My second Headbutt brings Miltank down to orange, meaning it does about a quarter instead. I need Warlord to break here, but it doesn't happen, and so Dragonite gets taken out. First reset of the run, at least is Whitney. Miltank is scary after all for a lot of Pokemon, so it's not a shame, although I could have dodged it by using Mudslaps. In the second try, I started in the first one. Clefairy tanks a Headbutt but flinches, so that the second one takes it out. Miltank comes out, and this time I answer its Warlord with Mudslap to reduce the accuracy. This already paid off the very next turn, where Warlord missed so that I can set up a second Mudslap. Stomp still hits, and so does Headbutt. Another Stomp missed, and another Headbutt hits. After Miltank Stomp, Dragonite is at a dangerous 28 HP, but Headbutt does not take out Miltank, which then goes for Milk Drink. I use Headbutt to reduce its HP immediately, and I hope a final Headbutt should be enough. Miltank lands a Stomp, bringing down Dragonite to 12 HP, luckily it wasn't a crit, and the final Headbutt takes out Miltank. So next up is Morty. I decided to actually learn some improvements for my runs, and therefore I battled some trainers to pick up a Mint Berry from the Moo Moo farm. Hypnosis only has a 70% accuracy, but it is dangerous. Sadly, I don't one-shot the Ghastly with Ice Punch. It goes for Curse, and I now have a problem. Haunter therefore also takes an Ice Punch without problems. Curse ticks, and also Haunter uses Nightshade to deal a total of 43 damage in a single turn. Now comes Gengar. I think I still have a chance if I'm able to two-shot Gengar and somehow get a crit against Haunter. Gengar starts with Mean Look, which is good. But Ice Punch only deals about a third, which is very bad. Curse ticks. Gengar uses Hypnosis, but for this occasion I have the Mint Berry. Another Ice Punch brings down Gengar to low orange. Curse ticks again, bringing down Dragonite to 3 HP, so that the Shadow Ball from Gengar takes out Dragonite. There's another improvement, or actually some learning for me in these runs. It doesn't make sense to brute force my way through it, and so I decide to level up and do something that I have done only in my unknown run. I battle the rival in the Burnt Tower. His Haunter also uses curses after my Ice Punch. This is also very dangerous, plus I didn't have full HP. I haven't battled him often enough to know this battle very well. But I should be fine. As long as I one-shot this Pokemon, I don't get curse damage. Well, I obviously can't one-shot Magnemite since it's part Steel. Headbutt deals a bit more than half and curse ticks. Magnemite then uses a Sonic Boom which hits hard, but luckily I'm not paralyzed or something like that. A second Headbutt is enough then. And luckily I am able to one-shot Zubat so that I don't have to take any more curse damage in this turn. Now I only need to two-shot Coconut to avoid another reset. Headbutt does more than half, which is good. Curse damage hits and Dragonite is down to 14. Coconut goes for Bite, but Dragonite hangs on with 7 HP and therefore the final Headbutt secures this battle. That was really scary because I could have gone for some safer options to level up Dragonite, but chose the rival due to the nice amount of XP he grants. Now I'm level 26. I hoped that these two levels would be enough to take out at least Ghastly in a single hit, so that's why I went for another shot at Morty's gym. This time it went a bit better. I defeated Ghastly in a single hit, which is great and leaves the door for victory wide open. Against Haunter, I go for Ice Punch, which deals about half, and as expected, Haunter goes for Curse. It defeats his death though, which is helpful. But now comes Gengar. I start with Ice Punch, dealing about a third. Gengar answers with Hypnosis, which lands, but my Mint Berry is triggered, waking up Dragonite. So I go for another Ice Punch, and curse damage starts to become a problem. Gengar lands another Hypnosis. That's not 3 out of 3. Very unlucky. Of course, I don't wake up fast enough, so curse damage plus Remeter is enough to take out Dragonite. So all good things come in threes, and it's time to defeat Morty. Against Ghastly, we know how it goes. Haunter comes out, and I get the freeze. Now, that is very helpful. I take it out the next turn, and suddenly I have a really good chance of winning this batch. Gengar, of course, hits the 4th out of 4 Hypnosises, and Mint Berry wakes up Dragonite. Another Ice Punch brings down Gengar to orange, but the next turn I finally understand the connection between Dragonite and me. We just love to take the occasional nap here and there, it seems. Gengar goes for Demeter, and Dragonite stays asleep. Another Demeter lands, and then Dragonite finally woke up. I use Ice Punch, and because Gengar thought I'd still be asleep, it used Remeter, which dealt no damage then. Ice Punch takes out Gengar now, and Haunter comes. But we know how this Haunter fight goes. I go for Ice Punch, it goes for Nightshade, and then a final Ice Punch is enough to take it out. That was a long split for a strong contender like Dragonite, so let's make up some time at Chuck. Primeape gets hit by Headbutt, which almost brought it to the red HP. It used Leer to lower my defense, but another Headbutt took it out. Next up is Poliwrath. I start with Headbutt and get a flinch. A second Headbutt brings it down to about a third. Poliwrath goes for Dynamic Punch, and the coin flip is finally in our favor, so that I defeat Poliwrath at Headbutt. That was pretty fast and pretty easy. Now next up is Jasmine. Magnemite opens, but I am well prepared for this gym. A single Fire Punch is enough to take it out. Jasmine brings in Steelix, which takes a Fire Punch. It deals about half, and Steelix lands Iron Tail, which dealt about 40 damage. Then Jasmine uses a Hyper Potion, but this only delays my victory by one turn, because my Fire Punch brings it down to half immediately after, and a final Fire Punch takes out Steelix. The second Magnemite then goes down to a single Fire Punch, and it's the 6th batch in my pocket. While I stream through the Rocket Hideout, I like to use this short section to talk a bit about a Pokemon and the thoughts so far up until the point of the game where I am in. Dragonite so far is really great. It has great moves, and really only Morty was a challenge so far. But with the bad luck of not dodging a single Hypnosis, I can take that. The coverage Dragonite has really comes to shine here. But you can clearly feel that the slow leveling group is creating a lot of problems. I am heavily underleveled in comparison to other Pokemon like Alakazam at this point, and the level is part of the damage calculations after all. Plus, up next Dragonite is facing the probably hardest gym of the whole run, which is 4 times effective against Dragonite. There is another thing to learn for me in these runs as I read the script. Maybe I should start using my rare candies a bit earlier to make some fights easier. That would have helped Venusaur for example a lot, and I feel it could also help those low level Pokemon. This time I didn't, and so it means I have to face Pryce with the level I naturally got after the Rocket Hideout. Seal takes the one shot from return. Jirugong, due to higher level and better defense, does survive the first return and retaliates with Aurora Beam, dealing a lot of damage, but Dragonite survived and took out Jirugong the very next turn with another return. Piloswine enters the fray, and I go for Fire Punch, but unfortunately it's not enough to take it out. But luckily, The Blizzard accuracy rolls in Dragonite's favor and it missed. Pryce uses a Hyper Potion, but 2 Fire Punches are enough to take out Piloswine and to get the 7th badge. Next on the list is the rival battle during the radio takeover. The rival starts with Golbat, which goes down to a single Ice Punch. Magnemite then goes down to a single Fire Punch and Haunter comes in. The Haunter still has Curse, so it's dangerous. I go for Fire Punch again and don't quite knock it out, but it only used Mean-Look so that a second Fire Punch takes it out. Well, Sneasel can't tank a Fire Punch and throws onto Feraligatr next. Return does about half and Feraligatr used Bite so that a final return takes it out. So I'm at Claire already. Dragon Pokemon are weak to ice attacks, and that is the very main reason I kept Ice Punch. It does one-shot all the Dragonairs with ease, and so I'm at Kingdra. Kingdra is a water dragon Pokemon, which means ice will only do neutral damage. That's why I go for return, dealing over half. It then goes for Dragon Breath, which isn't that bad, but the fact that it paralyzes Dragonite is. I should have thought about this because I have a paralyzed Cure Berry in my pocket, but after all, it's very unlucky as well. Claire then uses a Hyper Potion and Dragonite can't attack. Kingdra now also outspeeds, and while my return hits to bring it down to orange again, Kingdra is able to take out Dragonite with 2 more Dragon Breaths. Well, that fight wasn't badly prepared, but I just had pretty bad luck. So let's try again. I, for safety's reasons, again don't equip the paralyzed Cure Berry, but this time it goes better. I again defeat all the Dragonairs with Ice Punch and then camps out Kingdra. I use return again, dealing again a bit over half. It goes for Dragon Breath again, and this time doesn't paralyze Dragonite. Claire also doesn't want to use a Hyper Potion, so my second return takes out Kingdra. It's time to face the rival one last time, just before the Elite Four. He starts with Sneasel, which is easy prey for my Fire Punch. Against Golbat, I go for return instead of Ice Punch, and return does not quite knock it out. It retaliates with Wing Attack, dealing a bit, but after all Headbutt takes it out. Magneton is then quickly dealt with a Fire Punch. Haunter comes out next, and I go for another Fire Punch, which does not quite knock it out. It goes for Shadow Ball, dealing almost nothing, and then Fire Punch takes it out. Against Kadabra, I go for return and get a crit, which I would not have needed though. It would have helped against Feraligatr, which is not taken out by a single return. It goes to Slash, but deals almost nothing, and so a final return takes out Feraligatr. So up to the Elite Four we go. Will starts with Xadu, which is a one-shot from Ice Punch. Against Jinx, I make a mistake and go for Fire Punch. Jinx holds on with its great special defense and goes for Ice Punch. That is very dangerous, and it almost took Dragonite out. Fire Punch then takes out Jinx, but next up is Slowbro. I hope to get a return crit, which I didn't, and so Slowbro is able to take out Dragonite with Psychic. But it's an easy fix. Xadu again I one-shot with Ice Punch. Against Jinx, this time I use return, which also knocks it out in a single turn. Slowbro tanks the return and uses Amnesia. It's close to half, but unfortunately my second return does not knock it out. It just hangs on with very few HP and goes for Psychic, dealing 35 damage. My final Headbutt takes out Slowbro then. Against Xadu, I misclick Fire Punch for Ice Punch and give the chance to deal damage with Psychic, but after all, it goes down to the second turn. And last but not least is Executor. Again, I need to take 2 Fire Punches, but after all Dragonite is able to secure the first battle of the Elite Four. The second battle against Koga starts off with Ariados. But before that, I should really switch Dire Hit for the Pink Bow. That would have secured me a 2-shot against Slowbro in the last battle. Ariados has no chance against a Fire Punch and so doesn't Fortress. Next out is Mug, and it uses Toxic after my return couldn't knock it out in a single hit. Being poisoned doesn't really help, but after all poison damage is only applied when I do not knock out the opponent's Pokemon. A second return takes out Mug then. Crobat comes out and should be an easy target for Ice Punch. It outspeeds and goes for Double Team, and surprisingly Ice Punch then lands, but does not take Crobat out. The poison starts to tick and Koga uses a full restore to heal Crobat. My next Ice Punch lands, bringing it down to orange again, but the next turn Crobat uses Wing Attack. Additionally, Ice Punch does not land, resulting in more poison damage, plus giving Crobat another turn. The next turn a final Wing Attack lands, but Ice Punch is finally able to take out Crobat. With only 67 HP and being poisoned, Dragonite faces the final Pokemon, Venomoth. I remember it's not part flying, but Fire Punch is not enough to take it out still. And now it's gonna get close. Poison damage brings down Dragonite to 77, and Venomoth's Psychic lets Dragonite just barely survive at 5 HP. The last Fire Punch is enough to defeat Koga. One side note after that. If you look closely at the time, you can see a small jump here. It's because I accidentally reset the game. I didn't count that reset because it was an accident, but this means I had to defeat Koga again. Since Koga was already defeated, I decided to use the first victory, but the second victory seemed to have been a few seconds faster. Bruno sends Hitmonchan to the field. It goes for quick attack, but cannot withstand the return that follows after. Onix, with its very low special defense, goes down to a single Ice Punch. Hitmonchan, surprisingly, does not go down after a single return and is able to use Ice Punch. That is very dangerous. It has bad special attack luckily, so that Dragonite survives quite comfortably. Headbutt then takes it out. Against Machamp, I go for Headbutt hoping for a flinch. I don't get it, but Machamp used Foresight, which is great because now I can defeat it with Return. And last but not least, Hitmonlee. But with 59 defense, it's a one-shot for Return. So let's face the scary Karen. Against Umbreon, I really hoped to get some flinches. After all, I thought I need 3 hits with Return also, so I went for the 3 hits with Headbutt, plus some hopes for flinches. I didn't get flinches, but I dodged a Sand Attack and got hit by a Confuse Ray, but still managed to take out Umbreon. Gengar comes out, and I land the Ice Punch. Gengar goes for Spite, which is way better than Curse. Unfortunately, my next Ice Punch does not land, and Gengar used said Curse. It even barely hang on a sliver of HP, but Dragonite hit with Fire Punch, taking out Gengar. So this means no Curse damage. Up next is Murkrow. Dragonite snaps out of confusion and one-shots it with Ice Punch. Houndoom also gets one-shot from Return, which is great. And finally, it's Vileplume, which should be easy for Fire Punch. It isn't a one-shot, so I take Curse damage plus a Petal Dance from Vileplume. Well, grass moves really are not scary, and so a final Fire Punch also defeats Karen. It's time for the champion. I heal up and replenish the PP with Return and Ice Punch. The first one by accident, but luckily I had 2 items saved. I probably should have also used the Never Melt Ice, but let's see. I go for Return against Gyarados, which sets up Rain Dance so that another Return takes it out. Against Aerodactyl, I go for Ice Punch. I get out Spat and Aerodactyl goes to Rock Slide, a super effective move. Ice Punch then does not quite knock it out, and indeed the Never Melt Ice could have come in handy here. Aerodactyl goes for another Rock Slide, which lets Dragonite flinch, and so it's time for another reset. Against Gyarados, it goes the same. I check the damage from Ice Punch, but another Return still takes it out. Aerodactyl again goes for Rock Slide, but 2 Ice Punches are enough to take it out. Dragonite luckily didn't flinch on Rock Slide this time. The first Dragonite is no match for Ice Punch, and so isn't the second. Charizard survives the Return and then goes for Wing Attack. Since Charizard is also part Flying, it's a stab move, but it does not quite deal enough damage. So I take it out, and it's Dragonite versus Dragonite. But mine is faster, and Ice Punch is enough to take it out, and that means after 4 hours and 20 minutes, I have officially become the champion. So now comes the biggest skip in this video of the whole playthrough. I now have 15 badges, and I'm ready to face Blue, the penultimate challenge of this game. Let's start with Pidgeot. I use Return to deboard 2/3, but Pidgeot uses Mirror Move to use Return on its own. I then switch to Ice Punch, which I probably should have used from the very beginning, but luckily I didn't, because if it would not one-shot Pidgeot and Pidgeot would have used Mirror Move, this could have gone wrong horribly. Raiden has nothing to offer against another Ice Punch, so there it is also defeated. Gyarados tanks the Return and goes for Hyper Beam, but unfortunately it misses. Another Return takes it out. Alakazam basically has 0 defense, so a single Return is enough to take it out. Arcanine is at least trying. It goes for Extreme Speed and then Return deals about 2/3. Blue goes for Full Restore, which changes nothing because after my next Return the situation is exactly the same as before. Arcanine uses another Extreme Speed and then Return knocks it out. So finally, it's Executor, which is no match for 2 Fire Punches. I could have gone for Wing Attack, but it would not have one-shot it with Wing Attack either, and so it does not matter. This means Dragonite is ready for the final, ultimate challenge of this run. And yes, it indeed was a challenge. First, I level up to 60 to use my 9 rare candies to bring up Dragonite to level 69, and then I started the battle. Against Pikachu, my choice is pretty clear. Return will one-shot it. After that, Red immediately brings out Blastoise, and we see why very soon. I go for Outrage because I felt a stab move would have been most promising here, but as you can see, it isn't. Luckily, Blastoise missed the Blizzard, but my second outrage could not knock out Blastoise. Blastoise missed Blizzard again, but now Dragonite is confused and hit itself in confusion. Well, third time's the charm and Blastoise finally lands a Blizzard, resulting in a reset. So let's retry. Pikachu again goes down to return. I go for return against Blastoise, dealing almost half, but a Blizzard crit brings me down to another reset. Blastoise is going to be very tricky with the current moveset. I should have thought of this beforehand and maybe have something like Thunder Punch instead of Wing Attack, which really isn't helpful anymore. The very next try starts to look a bit more promising. Pikachu goes down and against Blastoise I am able to land 3 returns. That is because Blastoise's first Blizzard missed and the second one left Dragonite with 4 HP. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to heal up, but I have at least defeated Blastoise now. But this hope doesn't hold for long. As Espeon comes out, it outspeeds Dragonite and quickly ends this try. So it's time for a change. I have taught Dragonite Rest instead of Wing Attack, and I was hoping to be able to heal up at some point if Dragonite goes low on HP. With the updated moveset, things should become a bit easier. Plus, I get really lucky this time. Blastoise does not only miss the first Blizzard, it also missed the second one. I guess that really makes up for the bad luck I had at Morty with the Gengar Hypnosises. This means with full HP, Dragonite is ready to face Espeon. Espeon goes for Psychic and I answer with Return, which sadly does not knock out Espeon. Now I have to think on what to do. I have to knock out Espeon finally because I will have to tank another Psychic nonetheless. So I go for Return. Snorlax is the next Pokemon. I start with Return knowing that it likes to go for Amnesia on the very first turn. Return will need 3 attacks and so I risk it for the biscuit. I go for another Return even though it's likely that Snorlax will use Body Slam. And this is what happens exactly. But Dragonite just hangs on with 8 HP. I could have not executed this plan any better, because now I am able to defeat Snorlax. I outspeed Charizard by 2 speed stats, so that I can start to regain HP with Rest. Charizard's Flamethrower is resisted and only deals 45 damage. 2 more Flamethrowers land, bringing down Dragonite to 114 HP. Dragonite wakes up and uses Return. Although it's a crit, it's not quite enough to take out Charizard, but I still happily take that crit here. Charizard uses Flamethrower again and this time lands a crit on its own, bringing down Dragonite to 34. Well, the strategy now is to defeat Charizard with a final Return and then decide against Venusaur on what to do. I take a quick break to think about my next move and I feel Ice Punch is my best choice here. It should be enough to take out Venusaur, but I have very bad news. It's not quite evening half. I expect Venusaur to go for Sunny Day here, which it did not. Instead, it took on Sunlight to charge up a Solar Beam. It's now up for a decision. Do I go for full offense and hope that Return is enough to take out Venu, or do I go for the safe play that delays my victory by a few turns? Well, you know I like to take a risk and I go for Return. And it's not enough! It leaves Venusaur with very few HP and Venusaur uses Solar Beam. But Solar Beam is also not enough to take out Dragonite, and this way I defeat Venusaur my very next turn. What a finish this was! So Dragonite finishes Red with a time of 5 hours, 47 minutes and 55 seconds. Additionally to that, it had 9 resets, most of them at Red. With those resets in consideration, it clocks at a final time of 5 hours, 52 minutes and 25 seconds. So it is close to Tyranitar, but managed to get a better time after all. I am quite happy with that, although there were some misplays here and there. I will work on those for the next ones. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, have a great day and see you in the next one. Bye!